control. Her gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I'm here to entertain you. Hope you guys are doing great. Happy Monday night, I guess. Monday's over. You got that out of your way now. You can focus on everything going downhill all the way till Friday. Remember, I think I'm right here. Let me just double check. I am right. No, wait. Yeah, I'm right. This weekend, this Friday night, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest joining us. Someone who's joined us many, many times, but she still remains special, even though she's been on the show almost as much as I have. Well, welcome back our very own Deborah Varner tonight, or Friday night rather, to do free psychic readings on the show to callers of the show. So if you're looking for a little peek ahead to see what the hell's going on in your world, you got all kinds of questions and lots of confusion, or you got a big choice coming up and you need a little insight maybe into what's coming up for you, then call in on Friday nights. It's going to be a great show. It's always a lot of fun when Deb does her readings. We just really have a lot of fun, and we've been doing extraordinarily long shows because we keep getting calls, and Deb and I both feel like we don't want to leave anybody hanging without getting a reading, so we've been doing overtime on YouTube after the network's slot ends. So that'll be coming up Friday night here on the Paranormal Portal, right here on YouTube, streaming live, or you can listen live on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, or TalkStream Live as well. So that'll be coming up Friday. Again, mark your calendar. But it'll the deal is call in early and hold the line. I know it might be a while. It might be a long while, but make sure your phone is good and charged, or you got it plugged in, or or you got the minutes. If anybody needs special consideration, let me know ahead of time. Like if you're calling from somewhere that's going to cost you money, let me know, and I'll make sure to get your calls pushed up as much as I can, because I don't want people to be excluded just because they happen to live somewhere where it's going to cost them a fortune to call in. So we can definitely do that, but give me a heads up if that's the case. I would appreciate that. I'm willing to help you guys out if there's if your circumstances are really hard and you need some insight. I think we can work with it somehow. Excuse me. A friend of mine who is involved in the incredible world of T-shirts and hoodies, and he works with a lot of different companies. He's got a special deal today only. Now, this looks like a hell of a deal. All right, so let me open this link, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. I'm doing this as a special favor to him because he's been a good friend for a long time, and he and I talk, and I want to help him out. I think that's one of the things that we've done with the portal, which is, things that I've learned from other great shows, like, we help each other out, and he doesn't have a show. This gentleman doesn't have a show, but he does have this is his field is T-shirts and hoodies and stuff. And what's going on here, let me put it up on the screen here so you can see. Okay, let me read the promotion for you guys. This is a special deal today only. Buy two and get one free. Hashtag hoodies. Find them here, and this is the link I put up on the screen for you guys. Plus an additional 15% off with the code TFetchReverb. TEEFETCHREVERB. T-Fetch Reverb. And you can see there are many really cool, really wild designs. I could get into some of these. Some of these are a little loud for me, but this isn't about me or my taste. It's about you guys. So if you see something you like, or you see a few of them you like, you can buy two and get one free and get 15% off the one you do, or the two that you do pay for. So, I mean, that's a pretty epic deal, and the prices they're reasonable. Those are comparative prices. So if you're getting one for free, that's a hell of a savings. So just throwing it out there. Again, the promotional code for an extra 15% off is T-Fetch Reverb. TEEFETCHREVERB. That's our good friend Thomas's deal. So just trying to help him out. So if you guys like hoodies and looking for some good snuggly stuff, maybe some good gift ideas for the holidays coming up, there's some really cool designs. I think they're pretty awesome. I like that. That's kind of cool. Or I don't know why it's white in front of this one, but it's a dark floral hoodie. But something for everybody. Something for everybody. The lion. That's pretty cool. I guess it just, I don't know what's front and back. It kind of changes color or something. Okay. So yeah, some good stuff. I like this one. This one's pretty epic. So Infinite Dreams hoodie, Colors of the Universe hoodie. Kind of a yin yang thing going on here. Here's some, here's a headache pattern for me. Reminds me of a 70s concert of Pink Floyd or something. But yeah, there's a whole cool circular design. Looks like a portal almost, doesn't it? But anyway, just throwing it out there. If you're interested, it would definitely help out our good friend Thomas Golden, who is working his tail off to make his way here. So I just wanted to throw that out there first of all. Let's see. Of course, we have our own Paranormal Portal gear. If you're interested in that, you can head over to the link in the description. It's our Teespring store. The link is in the description. So now let's see. Where am I? God, what else was I trying to say? There was something else I was going to say, but I forgot. So let me close that and let me just say, I hope you guys are ready because it's time for bed. All right, and Hefke, as far as I know, they do. I don't think there's any shipping restrictions. Pretty much all these sites, including our own, will ship anywhere. The shipping cost may be more for you, but yeah, I don't think there's any reason you can't get it in the UK. We're very friendly. We're friendly countries, I think. Depends on the week, I suppose, but yeah, I think our countries get along. So anyway, I know I get along with the UK. I love the UK. I was over there in about 10 years ago or more, maybe more, but it was a good time. I had a lot of fun. Met a good friend of mine, Marty, and his wife. Well, they were not married at the time, but had a great time. Saw Stonehenge, saw a lot of really cool historical sites. Just had a blast, and it was cool because I stayed with them, so I saw it not like a tourist. I saw it like a person that lives there, which is really nice. It wasn't just a touristy, here, stay at this hotel, now get on the bus and go over here and see this. We just hung out and went over to his folks' house and had a excellent dinner. It was amazing, but a lot of fun. I'd love to go back again. I love it. All right, so the phone lines are open tonight, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to call in and be a part of the show, 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. Again, that offer that I put at the front of the show, that is today only, which today is November 11th. So if you're watching the show after November 11th, I don't know if they'll still swing the deal for you or not. Maybe they will if you're still interested. But it's a today only offer that I'm aware of. So if you're interested, hop on it. I've got a good show lined up for you tonight. I hope you are, if you're easily entertained, then it's a great show. If you're not, it's a good show. But either way, I'm going to do my best to keep you on the edge of your seat and cover a bunch of spooky stuff. Our podcast came out today. It's doing really well. A lot of wonderful support for that. We've done some really excellent numbers lately. We got so much wonderful support. New people are finding the show all the time, and it's just amazing. So, but today's podcast was kind of a cool one. It was just really wild, haunting events. Some of them are very short, but still poignant. So if you haven't checked out the podcast, definitely do that. Head over to Pandora, iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, or Chatbox, or wherever you get your podcasts. Sorry, just lost my thought for a second. But anyway, let's get started with the show. I got some stories here to share with you, and hopefully you'll be sufficiently entertained by all of this. So the first one's coming out of Delaware, ladies and gentlemen. Delaware. So for some background knowledge, my father built our house a year or two before my experience. I was either 7 or 8, I really don't remember, but at that age I hadn't had any family die to even begin with, to comprehend or think about the afterlife. Looking back, I think it's interesting that the house was new and still having spirits entering or leaving, doing whatever it was doing. As a child, I had a bunk bed that my great-grandfather had built for me. One night, I suddenly awoke facing the wall, not sure what had woken me up, and I just laid there for a few seconds and then felt a heavy presence in the room. I actually thought my mom or dad might have been in the room checking on me. I said out loud, "Hey," as I rolled over to look over my bed. A man was standing there by my bed at about my eye level, since it was a bunk bed, and he was just staring intently for a split second, and I thought it was my dad. I realized in a split second that it wasn't my father, and his look changed from intently to almost an evil or sadistic grin. Oh, God, that's horrible. It looked as though his fists were clenched at his sides, and like there was something in his hands, but I couldn't make out what it was. He looked real, but at the same time not real, and had a greenish, dull, hazy tint. I didn't notice what he was wearing, as he was just dull. And this thought process of analyzing this man happened in maybe a second or two. I yanked my covers over my head and laid there in paralyzed fear, unable to even scream or move. I ever so slightly and slowly turned over towards the wall again, and just laid there with my heart pounding so loudly that was all I could hear. I knew I'd been completely awake, as I was now, thinking about what happened, and I couldn't comprehend it. I wanted to scream for my mom, but I couldn't. Something in me said, "Don't make him mad by getting your mom." And I wanted to pretend it was a dream, and that way it wasn't real, and he couldn't hurt me. But either way, I didn't tell my parents until years later, when I was a teenager, and we were talking about ghosts one morning at breakfast. Throughout my years living in my parents' house, I had a few random experiences that night, like waking up in paralyzing fear and feeling a presence in the room and sleeping with the light on, and I would have fits of nightmares where I felt like I was almost not in control of myself, and I couldn't wake up even though I was awake. I was dreaming and trying to wake up. I had many feelings over the years where I felt someone was watching me, especially in the shower, and the hairs on the back of my neck would stand up. Either way, I see all these similar, smaller experiences as they could be whatever, but I'm sure of my experience as a child. I certainly don't wish for it to happen again, and it truly was one of the most frightening moments in my life. Still makes my heart and mind race thinking about it even today. Well, that's terrible. That's absolutely horrifying. I did want to do one more thing. Let me pull it up here so I can say a proper thank you. I remember what I'd forgotten now. It always bugs me. I should probably take notes before the show so I can be. I just wanted to thank Shauna, a listener who sent us a PayPal donation. Thank you so much. That's awesome. She says, "Thank you, Brent, for enlightening us and keep up the good work." That's so cool, and it means the world. Thank you so much, Shauna. Those kind of gifts really make it possible for us to really continue and to do even more and more eventually as we gather more resources. So thanks a bunch. I'm a little raspy today, so I'm sorry about that, but since it got cold, I'm running on furnace heat. It's like it just dries me out terrible. I still got to get that humidifier. Maybe I need to use that, use the donation to go get a humidifier. So excuse me if I sound a little raspy. I'm feeling fine. It's just the air is so dry now. All right, so back to the stuff. But I gotta say, in relation to that story, it's most people believe that there has to have been something that happened in a home for it to be haunted, and that simply is not true. There's so many stories of brand new constructions that have suddenly these people are just there, and they might have been undeveloped land. What we can't know, and what nobody can probably know, is what the history of the land is. Whether there's things that have happened in this country that were never reported. Horrible things that were never reported. I mean, even today, people just disappear, and nobody knows what happened. So it's not like there's a record of what happened to these people and where it happened. So I'm sure that's always been the case, and in these cases, perhaps that land already had some issues. Perhaps it was sacred land to the First Nations tribes, and then by carving it up and putting a septic system and sinking a well and pouring a foundation, it kind of desecrates that, and so maybe it angers some spirits. There's all kinds of reasons new places could be haunted. So the idea that it doesn't have to be 100 or 200-year-old house that's seen all kinds of tragedy in order to have activity. I also believe very firmly, and I've also gotten other listeners, I've said this before on the show, and I've gotten feedback from many listeners that say, no, I think there's something to that. And what the concept is that there's some entities out there that wander. They just wander around. And it might be linked to a geographic area, maybe not. But I've heard of a lot of these one-off hauntings. Like, my house was always quiet, never had anything happen until one day when blah, blah, blah happened, and there was a huge apparition and a lot of activity, and then, boom, it's over. It's like something just wandered through, raised hell quick, and then just took off. And I don't know. It seems to me that there might be, perhaps it's us. Maybe there's something about us that triggers those one-time happenings. But I don't know. Very, very curious. But no, it doesn't have to be an old house. Old houses, of course, are most likely to have activity just because they've seen a lot of generations of energy, but it's not a prerequisite to having a haunting. The land can be cursed too. That's great. Great point, Duke. And hello, Julia. I guess I should say hello to all you guys. I'm not sure how many of you are here. We're already off to a great crowd already. So let's see who's here so far. Beastly Bronco, Bigfoot Whisperers Hub. Awesome. I've never seen you guys before, but welcome. Glad you're here. Thank you. Black Tree, Julia's here. And Julia, of course, was the one who accompanied me out the other day, and we did a live stream. And actually, special thanks to Kev Baker. The Kev Baker Show used that video for a segment on their show yesterday, and that was really cool. I had no idea I was going to do it, but Kev Baker is a longtime friend, and so it's not. That's wonderful. I'm just thrilled he used it and brought awareness to it. But yeah, Julia and I went out there. I noticed in the comments some people were like, "Is that your wife? Is that your kid?" No, that's Julia. That's our very own Julia from the mod. She's the mod. Her and Duke are keeping the peace. Two sheriffs in town. Then there's Cameron's here. Cha-Cha's here. Chris Jarvis is here. Elaine Clifford is here. Gemini Moon, Half Q, Isaac Ariola, Linda, and Marilena Bonavita are here. Mogion Monster, Nessie Monster, Real Deal, Sharon Spears, Skunk Ape. Skunk Ape. Sorry, somebody came and it bumped everything. Everything moved. Half Q, I see Half Q. I don't know if I said Half Q before. Enlightened Dawn just popped in, I see. Let's see. Skunk Ape 69, Squatch Lady PA, The Dude, The Weird Desk US, and World Bigfoot Radio, which is The Duke. And I see this thing's moving a lot, so I see people are coming still. But if I missed you, just yell at me. I'll try to see it. Lewis, there you are, Lewis. Good to see ya. So, hi, Bob. Okay, let's continue on. The next story, of course, is from Arkansas. Of course, like I knew that. It's from Arkansas, and it says, lived in Lomita, California. Lived in Lomita, California from 2003 to 2005. And the day we moved in was a very happy day for my family and me because The neighborhood is beautiful. The people were nice, and hence it's called the Friendly City. My mother got first dibs on picking her room, and then I did, and my brother got the third room. The first night spent there, my room was very cold, and all the other rooms were really pleasant temperature, morning, noon, and night, except mine was always cold. Well, I thought nothing of it, just thought perhaps I'm towards the front of the house and it's colder. A month in the house went by. I got ready for bed and lay down, and I felt as if someone was watching me. That creepy feeling you get when you feel someone is looking at you. And I told myself, it's just your imagination. There's no one there. As I was tossing and turning, I couldn't fall asleep. I saw a shadow of a man walk from one end of my room to the other end. Well, I was so scared and had a scream within me that I just couldn't get out. I was completely frozen. I couldn't get up. Finally, I grabbed my remote control and turned on the TV. I jumped out of bed and ran to my brother's room where I spent the next 3 nights. The 4th night, I went back into my bedroom to sleep, and as I lay there staring around the room for any abnormalities, I felt the presence of a man. I don't know how I can tell it was a man, but I could just feel him standing there, and I kept repeating in a low voice, "Please leave me alone. I'm scared. Please leave me alone." And as I saw the shadow move from one corner of the room to the other once again. Well, I told my mom that the same thing happened to me. How the hell did we get there? It's like there's like a paragraph missing or something. She told me to light a candle and to tell the ghost to go into the light. She told me that perhaps there was something he wants to tell me, but I don't want to talk to him. I just want him to leave me alone because I'm scared. I lit the candle the next night, and he didn't show up that night. Well, I kept lighting candles every night, and after that, and the rest of my residency there, and I didn't see him or feel him again. Well, that's cool. I would say that when addressing spirits like that, you don't want to be in a pleading place, just in case it's something dark, something nefarious. You don't want to be like begging for it to leave you alone. You just want to be like, no, leave me alone. This is not okay. I don't like this. You're not allowed to do this. 99% of the time, just by being direct and being firm, it will stop a lot of this stuff from happening, or at least it'll stop it from continuing. Because I really believe, and I've stated it several times, most of the spirits that we encounter were people. And as such, they're still the same people they were living. It's just that they don't have a body. So, most people don't want to be a problem. They don't want to be a pain in the tail. They just want to, for whatever reason, reach out, maybe make contact. And if you tell them that it's really troubling you and you don't like it and that it's not okay, most often they'll just back off. I think that having a dialogue has been really a powerful thing in a lot of my research. We've had even stories of really aggressive hauntings that the people just decided, well, they didn't think the spirit liked them, so they gave the spirit a name. Whether it was the right name or not, it doesn't matter. They just gave the spirit a name and an identity. And they would talk to it as they came home. Hey, George, I'm home. Hope you had a good day. My day was okay, blah, blah, blah. And they started treating this entity like a member of the house. And sure enough, all the activity really, really tapered down. I mean, they still weird things would happen, and they knew it was there, but it wasn't aggressive anymore. It was just like that acknowledgement was so important that it really diffused it. And so that's always an option too. I mean, if you're okay with living with a spirit, and that's going to be an individual thing. Some people will be, some people won't be. Most people probably won't be. But to me, for the most part, it doesn't bother me. It's just when creepy things happen where it affects, the other people in my life, then it becomes a problem. But as long as it's peaceful, and I don't care if there's presences around, it doesn't really affect me. So I think that's a cool story, but it's tough. Presence of a man. So I do think also that story touched on the idea of I could feel someone watching me. And I think that really and truly, I think that we all have that ability. We just know when someone is watching us. It comes up all the time in Bigfoot stories and field stories. People will be fine going through the woods, and then all of a sudden, boom, something happens. And it's just like this unknown trigger. Something within us just fires, and we know we're being observed. and people get really freaked out and stuff. But I think it's probably an old survival mechanism from when we were on the menu. When we were fighting for our existence alongside everything else before we carved our cities and stuff into the earth. I think that when we were when we were on the food chain, we probably really relied on that and needed it. And I think over thousands or tens and thousands or hundreds of thousands of years, that sense, that awareness became really highly tuned. Now, in our current state, we don't probably have nearly the awareness we used to have, obviously, because we're not usually being chased or eaten. But that one still comes up all the time. It's like we've never lost the need for that or something, so it stays active in us. And people just trigger. There's like, boom, I know I'm being watched. I just feel that. And you feel that heaviness. I think most everybody's experienced it. You go into a place and, this is just a fictional story, but you walk in and you're doing your thing and all of a sudden you get a creepy feeling and you just start looking around and sure enough, somebody's over there glaring at you in a weird way. And it's like you felt it long before you could ever have been aware of it. Unless, and some people will say, well, subconsciously in your peripheral vision, you saw that and were able to ascertain whatever. Whatever the point is, that we seem to have an awareness when we're being observed. And I think pay attention to those things. Pay attention to those gut feelings because those are old ancient alarm bells that are going off for some reason. That doesn't always, it's not always creepy. It's really not always a bad thing, but it's just an awareness. So I would definitely pay attention when those things come up. All right. But I think that's a good story. It raises many, many valuable points, I think, that we need to know. Or it's good to remember anyway. A lot of you guys in here. A bunch of you guys. Thank you guys all for coming in. That's really cool. It humbles me. Your attention humbles me. All right. We're going to California, where we're California dreaming. Let's see what's going on there. It says, I recently got married in June, and my husband and I were on our honeymoon, and once we got back, off to work we both went. Tired and exhausted after a hard day work. I got home, took a shower, and I headed for bed. I heard footsteps and assumed that my husband had come home from work. Thinking it weird that he didn't come give me a kiss or say hello, I went out to see where in the condo that he was. But he was not home. I called him to get him home because I was scared. He did for a little bit, but he had a business trip in New Mexico, and that night, as I was watching television, the TV turned off. I got up and turned it back on, and seconds after I turned it on again, it turned off again. I got up and turned it back on. And this time it stayed on, but I didn't get any sleep that night, thinking that there's some kind of being or power here. Mid-July, I was making dinner. I turned on the stove, put a pan on the stove, and while it heated, I was chopping the ingredients, and all of a sudden the skillet starts moving. Well, I ran out of the kitchen and told my husband to go see for himself. When we both got back, the skillet was not moving anymore, and I refused to continue to cooking and ordered takeout. The day before yesterday, my husband had already taken off for work. I got up, got ready, and went to the office area to grab my iPod, and I heard footsteps directly behind me, so I thought my husband forgot something and came back, and as I walked back towards the sound, nobody was there. I ran out of my condo and went directly to work. Yesterday, my husband tells me he needs to go run an errand, and I say, okay. I was on the phone with his mom. I turned off the television and was walking towards the kitchen to grab some water, and when it turned back on by itself, I thought, okay, I'm not going to think this was a ghost. Calm down. I came back, turned it off, and headed for bed. My husband walked in the house 30 minutes later, and he asked if I was sleepy, and I told him no, and I asked him if he recorded new shows of Intervention, one of our shows we watched together. We both sat down and checked. He said, that's weird. Nothing recorded. And it was supposed to. I told him, well, the TV turned on a while ago. I thought you were recording something and it came on. And he told me that the TV should never come on because it's TiVo and the TV doesn't have set timers. He just looked at me and I looked at him and cried. I'm tired of this. I don't want to move. This is a really lovely home that we're making, but all these experiences scare me because this entity, spirit, or ghost, or whatever wants to play or still thinks it's alive, but I need it to go away and leave me alone. Yeah, you probably do. And again, this doesn't sound like really aggressive stuff. It's just, hey, I'm here. Nothing flew. It's just movement, things getting triggered just to seemingly to make an awareness known, but I don't think she's like, she's not liking that a whole bunch. All right, let me take a drink here. Wet the whistle. Again, the phones are open if you want to call in, 720-923-0500. If you're ever thinking, I want to call in, what was that number again? It's above my head. It's above my head. I think it is. Yep. It's right there. Right there. Little numbers. Still little numbers. About 8 months ago, I was going to make those bigger, but still haven't. Hey, Bart. I'm Bart. At Paranormal Portal. I'm Bart. I'm about to call in again. Well, good. Brandon, go ahead. I'm here waiting. Anything I'm missing? Okay. Looks like we're good. 73 of you guys are here now. That's fantastic. Thanks, guys, for coming in. It's very humbling. I'm going to read another story, and this one's coming from California again, and it says, I was invited to a weekend at the Brookdale Lodge in Santa Cruz Mountains with Verify Broadcasting and Pacific Paranormal. Woo, cool. You can bet I was only 10ish when my father took us, and I played with that little girl up in the balcony overlooking the dining room. Yeah, that little girl. I don't know. I guess that must be a famous haunting. To walk back into that dining room was like a walk in the past. I spotted out where I believe we played, but I was continually amazed by the distortion of the years and memories. Stairways were not exactly as I remembered. And while the entire story is located at, he gives a link. It's a little self-promotion here. 3 events are sharp and clear and worth repeating. Another ghost hunter located someone to talk to down by the creek, and she asked her friend if she was the same girl I played with 40-odd years ago. The response was clear. Yes. The same hunter and I were in the pool room chatting about other things, like a boom and the distinct order of bananas assaulted us. She looks at me, I at her. Our eyes must have been saucers. We even inspected the bottoms of our feet. And the other hunter giggles and says banana candy. And she's right. Sweet, sticky, sweet, distinct banana candy. I took a turn at I don't know what the hell this is about. Took a turn at the wands. It shook me very well, and I have to answer my questions so quickly and clearly. By wands, I wonder if they mean dowsing, the dowsing rods, maybe. Last but not least, it was 2 a.m. in the dining room. I was drawn into the area, and I just knew Sarah now played, very near where we ate dinner so long ago. Everyone else walked about, and you could hear whispers and see flashlights everywhere. Sarah, after she touched my shoulder and laughed, must have sat on my lap, for the EMF went crazy on my lap, but nowhere else about me. It was a good trip. I don't know. This is very distorted, but very cool, I guess. All right, California again. See, California is really popular tonight. I guess there's a lot of messed up stuff in California. Okay, let's see what's going on in this one. We've been living in my new house for about 3 months, maybe more. I've noticed some really weird things lately. The first month we lived there, it's been okay. I just always felt like something was watching me. But I shrugged it off like it was nothing. But in the second month, I noticed that something was just wrong. My dog Ruby has been barking at something that is in the hallway. But every time we go to see what it is, what she's barking at, we don't see anything. So we would just feed her a treat to make her stop barking. Yeah, you're going to train that dog to bark to get treats. At night, she would start barking again. I came out one night to see what was wrong, and all of a sudden, I saw a shadow move really fast. I went to go turn on the light, and nothing's there. I know I saw something, and my eyes weren't playing tricks on me. I went to go tell my mom, but she said that I was just being silly. Then I went back to bed. I brought my dog with me. Wherever I go to sleep, I always see shadows crossing my room. I really don't like to see them. I feel like there are shadows crossing my room all the time. And one time I had a pen pouch, and it held all of my pens, of course. And I organized them by color, and I left the room for about 2 minutes to make toast. And when I came back, all my pens were scattered all over the floor. Now I'm starting to really get really scared, and now things are moving and disappearing and reappearing. And now I'm starting to think my house is seriously haunted. The house is only like 20 or 30 years old, but that's just me. What do you think? Well, there's no way you can write a couple paragraphs and expect people to really know. That's a tough one. But it does, if what he's saying is true, that sounds like it's haunted to me. Or at least could be. I'm going to open up some more stories because we burned right through those, ladies and gentlemen. The night is afoot. Okay. Nothing. Good. Okay. Continuing on. Oh, this one looks like it might have to do with the Winchester house. This is California again. It's a night in California. Welcome to our Paranormal Portal tour of haunted California. Of all the haunted places in my world, the Winchester Mystery House has to be my favorite. I was fortunate enough to have been raised in San Jose and had toured the house over 30 times by the time I left the valley in 1988. There's one room that has always been very active. The top floor in that area, old gray walls, particularly dark room. Climb the stairs, turn right to a corridor with the storage cupboards on both sides of the walkway in the eaves, opening into the large room, several skylights in the floor, windows to the outside of the house. In 1972, when the tour group I was with went up into that room, I saw there was another group still in the room, strictly a no-no. You know how sometimes the guides will often hold your group back to wait for another to go through another hallway. Well, this time they didn't, and the room was quite crowded. Then, while standing about, I noticed their dress. Not right. Something is amiss. Then one of the people on our tour literally walked through one of those people that were in the other group. Oh, to hold back the yelp. This is one of my very first experiences there, so I was silent and watching. My eyes must have been the size of saucers, mind you. My mind was racing miles in a nanosecond. Then I saw someone I knew. He was watching me, hands in his coverall pockets, grinning that grin. He walked past me, behind and back again to my side, and just stood there grinning, peeking at me. He nodded and disappeared. He drowned July 6, 1969, the night of his bachelor party at Lexington Dam in Los Gatos, one night before our wedding. I never saw him again. The upstairs room was always full of extra guests, no matter when I visited. Sometimes they are active, but most often they're quiet and just lurking. When changes started to happen on a large scale, painting, renovating, furniture moved in, the activity became less and less frequent. The last time I toured, 2007, everything was extremely quiet, and we didn't even see the room with the skylights at all. 2008 note, the room is still oddly missing from the 2008 tour, and the manager does not know which room I'm speaking of. Not another trip in all those years was that good. Okay, not another trip in all the ensuing years was nearly that good. I don't know, that sounds like this person's a little bit sensitive to me. Okay, another one. This is the same author. This is the same person wrote this one too. And it's coming from California. I wonder how many of these this same person wrote. I didn't look at the person submitting the story, but it looks like she was pretty busy this night. Its name is Anne, so I assume it's a she. Hold on, sorry. All right, let's see. No calls, nothing. Okay. Let me just look at the clock here and see how much time goes by, because I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the portal is actually a time vortex. There's just no understanding how quickly time goes. We've already been at this 40 minutes and feels like 10. So it goes quickly. So this one again is we had a good one for Halloween, but maybe it was coincidence, maybe not. I live with a widower who lost his beloved wife, Chris, of 20 years to cancer. She started an extensive garden where we spent most of our time. Quite a legacy. He does not believe in any afterlife. End of subject. I've gently insisted Chris is still about a few times and let it go. But I've only picked up on her a few times in the last 2 years. But if you listen quietly and be aware, it's obvious that she's there. Oh, there's a phone call. Let me see. That's only a paragraph in. Let me get through the story quick. Yeah, let me get through the story and I'll get to the phone line. So hang on, caller. I'll be right with you. On Halloween, we do a pretty big shindig in the front. Crone outfits, real witch house atmosphere, etc. We've read this one before. I know we have. If you want a good laugh, you can see, and then they give a link to some pictures that they must have taken, but we're not going to waste our time with that. I've been doing this for many years, and the neighbors will pass by to watch the progress of my handmade spider webs as All Hallows Eve approaches. I left the house during a divorce and once settled in with David, and I was looking forward to Halloween again. His porch was absolutely perfect place for a new haunting spot, so to speak. A woman passed the house while I was spinning my webs, happily exclaiming, "Oh, so this is where you are now." Halloween finally arrives, and I'm outside in full hag makeup, handing out candy to terrified children. A woman approaches us and asks us about our house. Stood in front of me with David at my side, listening for a time, and finally asked, who the spirit of the house? Who was Chris? Well, you could have bowled David over with a whisper. There have been a few times when something definite has occurred, in about 5 years of being in or around the house. I was sitting in a room where she spent most of her dying years, looking at the window out of the yard. Its framing is a tad sloppy. I heard as clear as day her say something to the effect of, "If you let me live, God, I'll never complain about that window again." Well, it was sad in a fashion, and that made me feel that she had a new appreciation for all things in life. Even the crookedly framed window, that was quite askew. It was quite sad. Last May, we were driving on a curving woodsy road in town that parallels a large creek. A great sunny Saturday, and the girls in the back seat, and we were hit head on by someone who wanted our lane more than we did. And it didn't give us time to get out of her way. She was going about 60 miles per hour, and we were doing 35, and, well, neither car made it, and by all rights, we should have been tipped over upside down into the full running creek. We did end up airborne. What an experience. But I came out of that car swearing with an attitude I didn't know I could demonstrate. Sorry. Immediately after we got the girls out of the car and trying to collect our thoughts, enough to function, other things on our mind, right out of the blue, I just got it. That Chris, whose car we were driving, was responsible for the fact that we were not hurt or dead. Loud and clear, non-negotiable. A few hours later, we returned home, courtesy of the local police department, and I was standing in the living room and contemplating life. I watched the small bottle of Chris's ashes pop off the living room library shelves as I stood there, and you couldn't ask for a better confirmation. Wow, that's wild. I swear I thought I heard a voice. That was weird. Here we go. Let's get to the call. This is area code 410. You are on the air.
What's going on, man?
Hey.
410 again, representing.
Well, thanks for representing, brother. How's things?
Yeah, going good, man. I was waiting for you to finish your story. Those stories are creepy, man, I swear. It's like every time you read them, they get creepier and creepier.
Well, that's the game. You know, I try to keep you
Hey,
entertained.
did you find out who was doing all them prank calls after me? I felt bad. I was like, I hope they don't think it's me.
No,
it was like right after I hung up.
We did. We found out who it was. It was.
I seen somebody in chat said it was Wes.
It was Wes, yeah. Wes from Sasquatch Chronicles.
Oh, God.
He put together a whole
Yeah, when we were talking about Sasquatch last time, I forgot to tell you my ghost encounter here.
Oh, please.
And then we had hung up.
Yeah, go ahead. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, it was. I think I'm 25 now. Well, 25 this year. This was back when I was like, I think 7 or 8, and my cousin had came up from North Carolina all the way up to Maryland and was staying with me, and he had a room right across the hall from mine in the upstairs of our house, and we were. I think we went to bed at probably like 9, 10 o'clock because my grandfather had work in the morning, so we had to go to bed early.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had ended up like sneaking in his room when we were playing like Game Boy Advance for a couple hours or something, and we fell asleep. And he was sleeping on his bed, and I fell asleep in a little chair that was like kind of parallel next to the bed. And for some reason, I fell into a deep sleep. You know, I was a young kid. I crashed out, and then for some reason, I woke back up. And I don't want to say it was 3 a.m., but I'm sure it was around that hour, probably somewhere between like 3 and 5. And I had woke up, and for some reason I looked over at the window, and at my cousin's bed, he has 2 windows on the other side of his bed, so right above it. Mm-hmm. And I looked at those 2 windows, and I looked in the corner of one, and I seen this older man, and I mean clear as day, like it's giving me chills just thinking about it now. And it was this older man sitting in the window with a, you ever seen like the yellow raincoats and the yellow hats?
Oh, sure.
That look like fishermen?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, like the fishermen wear when it's raining and stuff.
Right, like on Gordon's fish sticks or whatever.
Yep, exactly, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Okay.
And I seen him sitting there, and my heart dropped, and it was like I was seeing something I wasn't supposed to see, and he's just like staring at me, and I'm kind of like freaking out a little bit. And like I moved a little bit to kind of go wake my cousin up, and he like put his finger to his lip and like, kind of telling you like, shh, to like be quiet. And like, so that kind of freaked me out even more that it moved, because I thought maybe I was just like, tripping out or something.
Sure.
And so at this point, I'm coming over to try to wake my cousin up, and it looked like he like jumped out of the window. And the scariest part about it all is we have a central air unit at the house, and the central air unit was right under my cousin's window. And as soon as this like figure of this person left that window, the air conditioner broke, like something fell on top of it.
Oh, geez.
And we had to go down, and the air conditioner was out for the rest of the night. It just cranked out like something big hit it.
Oh, man. That's creepy.
It was terrifying.
That is terrifying. So you don't know any story of any history of that at all, though, huh? It's just kind of a one-off event?
Oh, no other. Well, I think my grandparents moved here in like 90, I think like 95, like a year after I was born, and they've never talked about having any like weird things happen here. Again, with me and my cousin being here, we were here one time, and downstairs, all the silverware got thrown out of a drawer. Oh. And we started freaking out so bad that we even woke up my grandfather, and he's like one of those like, like he's got to be to bed at a certain time, and don't nobody wake him up for nothing. Right. And we ended up getting so scared, we woke him up like, we can't stay downstairs, there's a ghost.
Yeah.
And then I seen that man in that window. Until this day, man, I've never seen nothing like that in my life. Wow. It was like seeing something you weren't supposed to see. And it was a clear image of an old man, with like that raincoat on. Yeah. And as soon as he like put his finger to his lips saying to be quiet, came out the window, and my air conditioner blew up.
Jeez.
I was like, man, I didn't know ghosts had like a, almost like a presence like that. And it's not like it could have been a person, because this window's 20 feet off the ground. Somebody would have to put a ladder and climb up, and, that's pretty unlikely.
Kind of reminds you of that Salem's Lot, huh? Did you ever see Salem's Lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think so. I think I know what you're talking about.
There's a little vampire boy.
It was terrifying, man. That's the only time I've actually ever seen like a figure, you know what I mean, that you can make out, besides maybe like stuff getting thrown out, or, a cold chill, something like that. Sure. Seeing an apparition's like crazy,
That is really, really wild, and it's very, very rare, to be honest. I mean, most people never experience an actual apparition. They just experience, like you were saying, cold spots or things happening, but most people don't ever see apparitions. So that's very rare.
Oh, yeah, and it really gets you thinking, because it's like once you see that, there's like, you got your answer. Like, this stuff is real. There's no, second guessing it. Like, is the paranormal real? It's like, you see something like that. It's like the ghost hunter shows get even more intriguing.
Yeah.
You're like, now the stuff is real.
Right.
Have you ever seen an apparition yourself?
I saw one time, and I didn't know I was seeing an apparition until after it happened. And the story was I was having an argument with a girlfriend of mine. We lived together at the time, and whenever I get in arguments, I want to just go sleep. I'm just like, okay, I'm done, and I just go sleep. I just kind of shut down. So I went and slept on the couch. Because I was because if I stayed in there, she would have never let me sleep. She would have kept going.
Oh yeah, she kicked you out to the couch. Yeah.
No, well, she in her manner of speaking, just because no argument was done until she was done arguing, and so I was just like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
So I went out on the couch and I was just kind of laying there, and I wasn't really sleeping, but I was just kind of just trying to relax and just thinking. And suddenly I saw, just out of my peripheral vision, what looked like my girlfriend coming from the bedroom, pass by me and go into the kitchen. And I'm like, well, what's she doing? So I just laid there and waited, but the light never came on. It was dark in the house. And I was like, well, what the hell's she doing? So I got up.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird, yeah.
I got up and went in the kitchen, and nobody's in there. And then I went and snuck over to the bedroom, and she was already asleep. So it definitely wasn't her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I did see an apparition, but otherwise, no, I don't know. But I often wonder if maybe we've all talked to ghosts or bumped into ghosts. We just didn't know it, because sometimes these apparitions are so crisp and clear that people say it was like a person was there until it
like the one I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, the one I saw, I could have looked at an obituary and probably found this guy, maybe just died last week or something.
Right.
Like, that's how good I seen his face, like crystal clear.
Yeah.
And I remember one time, being young and dumb, we had broken into an abandoned hospital type thing here in Maryland.
Oh, wow.
And it was called Creepy College, actually. And it was a college like next to kind of like I think it was like a not a hospital, but I guess like a mental ward, or like kind of a mental, one of those buildings. Mm-hmm. And we had broke into it, and nothing weird happened at all the couple times we went before, but this time we actually got shut and locked in a room. A door slammed shut and locked us in a room, and it took us 20 minutes to get out. Finally, one of my bigger friends, he weighed like 400 pounds. He was like 6'5", like a linebacker, ran into the door and broke it open, but we thought we were like trapped forever in there.
Wow.
That was probably the other most terrifying thing I've ever seen happen.
Yeah, that is horrible. That's terrifying, man.
Yeah.
So that was the last time you broke into
And places like that may have like evil spirits and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they got a lot
Being a place like that.
There's a lot of darkness, a lot of pain in those places. So yeah, I mean, there can be evil entities, or there can be just really twisted spirits, because, again, most spirits were once people, and if they were already twisted in life, then they're probably dealing with that same stuff in death.
Oh, yeah, you get that bad energy. Sometimes you can feel that bad energy, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's way different. Like, I was listening to your story last night, I think, and it was about the girl who had was it a ghost wolf she had?
Yes.
It was she was saying it was a white wolf that died in a fire following her around.
Yes, yep.
And it protected her from the evil spirits. I found that really interesting. That was really cool. I love hearing about, like, the kind of the good spirits helping you against the evil. Because if there's evil stuff out there, there's got to be good, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not just going to be all evil.
No, exactly.
I hope not, at least.
No, I think there's plenty of good things out there. In fact, I think most of them are good things. It's just that there's also some dark, twisted things. And so, it's always good to have something standing by your side, keeping guard.
Yep, to let you know when it's coming. That's why animals are so good. They got that, like, sixth sense.
They do.
Something that we don't have to really see the spirits or whatever. Like you were telling Don the other night, it may just be old age in the animal with his dog looking at the corners and barking and stuff. It happened to my Jack Russell too, but then again, maybe them getting that older and that close to, dying, they kind of bridge that, that gap between life and death. They might be able to see things.
That's what I thought too. I think they might be seeing into the next world, because they're already so sensitive to the energies. They can see spirits a lot of times, and will know when there's a presence around. So I think that as they grow closer, they probably see the next life, and so they maybe his dog's reacting to that.
Right, almost like having kind of one foot in the grave already when they get that old age like that.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I mean, that comes
Yeah,
up.
would you say cats are more, with the energy easier to sense it, or would you say dogs maybe are?
That's a great question. I don't know if there is a differentiation. It just seems that both species are able to really pick up on that other energies when they're around. But I was gonna. I don't know that I could pick a winner in that because we've heard stories of both. But I would say
Right.
that traditionally cats have been regarded as spirit guardians. You know, like they're used to guard temples and stuff in the old days. So I would say that
Yeah, I was
traditionally
going to say
speaking,
you always see them surrounded in like,
right?
ancient kind of, the folklores and stuff. You ever
Yeah.
seen the movie Mummy when the cat's around, the mummy like kind of disappears and
Yes.
can't come out?
Yes.
Every time he sees it, he like screams.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So I think there's something to that probably, but I think dogs are equally as sensitive. It's just maybe cats are believed to exist simultaneously in both planes, is I think the legend behind it. And so
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's actually true because you always see like cats like in those like trippy movies and stuff. It's like the cat's always the one that's like, walking in kind of both realms.
yeah. But I was gonna say though, in regards to what you're talking about, being close to the end and seeing, for the dogs being close to the end and seeing, we've covered so many stories of like nursing homes and other care facilities like that, and the amount of people that are seeing and experiencing apparitions when it comes to be the end of their days is really profound. I found that to
Oh yeah,
be
it's like overwhelming.
right. So it seems that it happens to us too, perhaps, or at least some of us.
Yeah, it's like you get closer and closer, and it's like,
Yeah.
you either start seeing apparitions or the main thing that you see with older, people, humans in general, is we start talking to people that's been long gone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have like, my great aunt before she passed, she was talking about, somebody that was right next to her, even though that person's been dead for 25
Oh,
years.
yeah. There you
And
go.
she's having a conversation with them.
That's so cool.
And it seems that only happens to people as they get to that older state.
Yeah. Well, I think those loved ones are probably coming back to help guide them home. I think that's what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah. So.
yeah, and yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's like that's why they're in more contact with them, talking about them, saying they're,
Right.
talking with them and stuff.
So, do you listen to Sasquatch Chronicles?
Oh man, yeah, I love Sasquatch Chronicles is like a ritual before I go to bed. I always try to throw that on and listen to a couple stories before I go to sleep.
Cool. Well, if you turn on the latest episode, your part of your phone call is actually on there. On
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say I think I heard it. I think
Okay.
I was in your live chat. Oh
Oh.
no, that was your stream.
Yeah, I did
I
play
think
it.
last night when I heard it.
The other night, yeah, on Saturday night, Don and I played it on the show in the overtime. We went
Yeah.
overtime in YouTube and unveiled it for everybody. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yep, yeah, that's where I heard it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's awesome you do this phone call. Like I was saying last time I called in, it's just so cool that you're one of the last people that still do this.
Oh yeah, man. I'll do this, and as long as I got a show, I'm going to do this because I love having these conversations. I love trading ideas and talking and just hearing what people think. That to me is the most
Yeah,
important
it's
part
awesome
of the show.
because you got 70 people, to really share your experience with, see how they feel about it, get their opinions.
Yeah.
Just feels like you got a lot of people to talk to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been wonderful, and it keeps getting better and better. As more people find the show.
Oh yeah.
People have stories, and as they're bringing them to the
Yeah,
show.
I mean, I just found it 2 months ago, I think. I think 2 or 3 months ago, I think is when I found it off of Bigfoot Odyssey. I seen you came on there and did a co-host or the guest host, and I was like, damn, I gotta check this guy out. Oh, excuse my language.
No, that's
Dang,
all right.
I gotta check this guy out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but it took you 2 months to actually call in, huh?
Oh yeah, what's funny is I think a lot of times
Uh-huh.
I just kind of missed where you did the call-in thing where you guys put the number out and said
Oh.
call in. I was just kind of catching the tail end of the episodes and stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
And like a lot of people were saying in chat, sometimes it's like you're kind of nervous to call in and talk person to person.
Oh, sure.
It's like a lot of people that's what's beautiful about having the call in thing too is people don't get to feel so alone with their encounters and stuff, have everybody to share it with.
Yeah, and I hear that a lot, and that's really cool too. And I've heard that a lot on many different shows, that people, after they talk about these experiences, because they've kind of lived in a bubble with them for so long, they feel really like
Yep.
relieved, like they finally let it out, and I think it's a very healing thing.
Yeah, I would say the paranormal stuff is actually like maybe even more like easy to come out about because so many people are kind of into it. But a
Hmm.
lot of people, especially people around my age, like that in their young 20s, early 30s, you bring up Bigfoot or Sasquatch or Dogman to them, and they just laugh you out the park. You know what I mean? They don't
Uh,
want to hear nothing about it. They just think you're crazy.
yeah, I think there is that. There's always going to
Until
be
they see
skeptics.
one. Then
Yeah.
then when they see one, their world gets turned upside down. Kind of like Carrie. Carrie says like, "Oh man, before I had my sighting, I would laugh at anybody that told me Bigfoot was real." And then
Yeah.
he sees one, and boom, your
Yeah.
world gets turned upside down.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, everybody's a skeptic until they can't be skeptical anymore. And
Right.
I've always been into the idea. I've always had an open mind, but there are many people that don't, but they've had their minds changed, and that's good or bad. I don't know, but I don't think that most of the encounters in the paranormal are actually negative. I really don't. I mean, they might be scary, and I'm not taking anything away from that, because things are happening that shouldn't be possible as by our understanding. But I think in most cases,
Right, and you just don't know.
yeah, I think in most cases they're more benign. I mean, there are certainly some horror stories out there. It's terrible, terrible horror stories, and I don't mean to detract from that, but I'm just saying, in a large sense, I think most of the time it's just, especially in hauntings, it's just like, hey, I'm here. I've been here for 30 years and nobody's even acknowledged me. Will you acknowledge me, please? And so I think a lot
Right,
of
it's
times,
almost like they get a kick out of people acknowledging it.
yeah, it's a
And I think
validation.
somebody said poltergeist means noisy ghost, and like
Yes,
I think that's like the meaning of the word, or is
it
that
is.
just a joke?
No, it's in German. It's noisy ghost. It's, well,
Oh,
poltergeist is
okay,
derived from a German phrase, but it basically
gotcha,
translates
gotcha.
as noisy ghost. Yeah, so that is true.
And what it is people are just afraid of the unknown. So it's like
Yeah,
something like that happens, and it's like they just want to find answers to it. And if they can't find answers to it, it probably obviously drives people crazy.
sure.
Especially if you have these type of sightings and encounters like all the time.
Uh huh.
Because you'll hear about houses like I think you have one story tonight where it was kind of like you said for like 30 years. It was like people just said, this was always happening in the house, and it's just like some people live with it, and then some people can't stand it. They, one little tap on the wall, and they're packing their bags and leaving.
Yeah, we all have our thresholds, and that's individual, and that's certainly not a bad thing. I just think you got to come to your own conclusion. If you can live with it, cool. It's possible you can live peacefully with them, but if you can't, then you have every right to ask them to leave, for sure, or to try to make them leave.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but
because I mean, your house is supposed to be your, protective space. Supposed to feel safe in your house, and it's like you almost feel like somebody's intruding.
yeah, exactly.
It's even though maybe they lived here, longer than you.
Right. Yeah.
They've lived there for 30 years. You've only been there for a month, and
Yeah.
you're telling them to get out.
Amen,
That's
brother.
probably when things could go bad too. Maybe trying to tell a spirit to leave, and the spirit not wanting to leave. That's kind of when things take a turn for the worse.
I think it can, but I think in a lot of cases, if they don't leave, they'll at least go unnoticed. They'll just go back to being hidden. I don't know. It can be both ways, I guess. Um, you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it definitely could, and that's where like you kind of get the real haunting stories kind of come out. I love the stories like I think you had the other night where police officers actually came out.
yeah,
So now you have like kind of like a formal like reporting like
right.
from a police officer saying, hey, we went in this house and stuff was flying everywhere, and
Ugh.
we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's pretty bizarre. I've got a cousin who's like a brother of mine, and he's in law enforcement, and he's told me some stories that have been shared with him from people he works with, and he's told me some of his own, and there's some really wild stories going on. Those guys see it all for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's like it kind of goes the same way where it's like they almost can't really do anything for you. So it's almost like they kind of get out of the situation as fast as they can because they can't do nothing.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
almost like, I'm getting out of this.
Right. Yeah. Exactly, brother. But it's great hearing from you, man. Thanks for calling in again.
Yep, man. Yeah, thank you so much for taking my call, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's good to hear from you, brother. Call back whenever you want if you got another
Yep.
story to share.
Oh, yep. Yeah, we'll talk to each other soon again. You guys have a good night out there, man.
All right, good night, brother.
Night.
That's cool. I always like hearing from you guys. That makes this real. Otherwise, I can sit here and talk in a bubble. But you guys bring this show to life more than anything. So I really appreciate it. But we have gone over the hour. We went over an hour tonight, so we went into a little overtime, which is fine. I don't mind having a good conversation and following it to its conclusion. But I hope you guys are doing wonderful. Thank you. Oh, yeah, no worries, Brandon. Thank you for calling in. It's great to hear from you guys. So I guess that's going to wrap it up for tonight. But this next story sounds like a good one, too. Oof. We'll do this one tomorrow. This will be good. That'll be a good one to start off the show with tomorrow. So I hope you guys are doing great. Have a wonderful day tomorrow. I'll be waiting for you right here at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on our YouTube channel to bring you back into the Paranormal Portal, into the Bedtime Stories from Beyond. But I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you for spreading the word. And if you have not, please subscribe to the channel and like and hit the bell for reminders. That'd be wonderful too. And it does really help if you guys like the stream, because the YouTube algorithm is based on activity and feedback. So the more people that feedback on an episode, the more the episode gets recommended to other people who may be interested in the paranormal. So I know we beg for likes all the time, but it actually does serve a purpose. If you hate it, click hate, just interact with that, because it does a lot for the show in just perpetuating it and getting it out to more people. But check out the podcast if you haven't already. And you can find that on iTunes, iHeart, Pandora, Spotify, etc., etc. But just look for the Paranormal Portal wherever you find podcasts and you'll find us. We're on the same network as the Sasquatch Chronicles. So wherever you find Sasquatch Chronicles, you can also find the Paranormal Portal, if you would be so kind. But thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful night. Have a great day tomorrow. And again, I'll be back tomorrow night, but I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody.